Hey everyone, Pupsker here. Today in Destiny 2, we're going over how you can unlock the Vexcalibur. Now, this is a brand new exotic glaive, and people are loving it, as well as you get a new legendary Prodigal Return, which is a grenade launcher. So overall, good secret quest to run. It took me about an hour and 20 minutes running it with one other person, and we were not at the light level because we're still leveling. It has a recommended light level of 1800, but it pushes you up to 1790, and we managed with 1790. So if you wanted to know, it took us about an hour and 20 minutes with pretty whatever random setups on my end. So yeah, just to let you know, I'll give tips and tricks throughout the entire fight, but it is a kind of a long one. So let's get started. First thing you'll have to do is jump on down to the Gulch because, yes, the secret quest takes part in EDZ, so just, yeah, head on down there. Once you actually get down to the Gulch, you need to run around and collect these 6 Vex access codes in order to actually enter and start the secret mission. So I will just take you along the path here. If you want to run this same path that I was running, go for it. This is the general map of the area with all of the access codes marked down. You can do it in whatever way you want, but that's just how I seem to do it. There are 6 access codes. Once you grab them all, you have unlocked the secret mission, so you're good to go. It seems like everyone in your party might need to grab the access codes, but it's hard to say, so it's best to just get everyone to do it. But hey, you do you. This should only take a couple of minutes if you actually know where all of the access codes are, purely because it's just very fast, right? It's just a little area that you run across in order to pick them all up. The access codes do make a little noise to make them easier to find if you can't quite see them. They're a little out of the way, of course, but if you just have high jump or triple jump, strand, anything to get up there, you can pretty easily get there. So it's not really much of an issue whatsoever. Once you actually get all of the access codes, just run on over to the cave. I'll show you where the cave is. So the cave is just on over in this direction. You just fight through some enemies, run away, and then you should be able to get yourself to the little cave. It has some red markings on the outside, so it's not the hardest to find. And once you actually get into the cave, you'll be greeted with some audio dialogue, and that's kind of how you know, oh, I'm good to go. I got the access code, simulated cave access code, good. So now you're set to start the secret mission. From here, you've unlocked the new quest and secret entrance to NODE.OVRD.AVALON. And you just kind of talk to this harpy exotic, start the quest, and oh boy, is this a quest. So my foolishness thought last night that I could take the little quest, we could run it and probably get it done in maybe less than an hour. No, the entire quest took about an hour and 20 minutes, so be prepared to be there a while. I wouldn't do it solo unless you want to have a struggle puddle, as survival is always an issue, but hey, you do you. The way the general quest starts out is pretty nice, actually. Jump into a sweet futuristic area, and there's Vex everywhere. You got to enter the Vex network and just hack everything. So this first area is just running through the area to get to the bosses and all of that. Essentially just run through the area, fight the enemies, look for the little areas to go through. Sometimes they're marked with little green tags, or sorry, I guess I should say green lights. But yeah, the first little while is a pretty long jump puzzle questing and just killing enemies. So there's a lot of little nooks and crannies. At one point, you'll get to this one section where there's a really small, very, very small hole in the middle that you have to walk through in order to continue. So it's a little bit of an annoying quest where there's a ton of small areas, so just make sure you pay attention, right? That's just how Destiny usually does its traversal, though. Just look around, you should be able to find all the jump puzzle area quests and the places where you're meant to go. So once you get to this first little area where it says enter the access codes, this is the first little actual combat puzzle and boss mechanic that you learn in the game. It's pretty simple overall. 3 little shapes will spawn around the little access code terminal, and you essentially just shoot down those access code terminals in the same order that they are appearing on one of the pillars, right? So the first pillar is on the right in this area, and you can see it's just square, square, triangle. So you essentially just have to shoot that exact sequence onto that access code in order to unlock and enter the access code. So it takes me a little bit to actually realize like what's going on, but once I get it, it's pretty simple. The location of the access code does change. So the first one is on that right pillar there, and then the second one is on a left pillar, and then the third one is on another right pillar, but farther back. So you have to get closer to the enemies, you know, go out of your way to kill them more. It's a bit of a pain in the butt, but if you just remember what the access code is, there's no real need to look at it more than once, because once you enter it, the access code disappears, so you're good to go. So it is recommended you designate one person for the boss fight and just in general to kill the access codes or enter the access code so that everyone else worries and can focus on just killing the ads and enemies. But once you do all that, the third access code is very far in the back. So just remember it. Try not to kill yourself trying to get them. I was foolish enough jumping around and made that mistake once or twice. So yeah. After you're done that first access code area, it's just another area where you have to go fight a bunch of mobs, kill the enemies, and then you do another access code, right? 0 out of 3. So the first access code for that one shows on the generally like left section. Hopefully you noticed it, saw it there, right? The next access code is on that like right section, kind of behind the pillars again. You'll notice this is pretty common. I was using a Void Hunter so that I could dash around and go invisible to make it easier to find the access codes and not get incredibly murdered. But yeah, use whatever strategy you like. You can use a glaive, shield, etc. There's a lot of different things you can technically do if you feel like it. And this is Destiny after all. And then the final access code will be behind the pillar on the left, and it's like the very far back pillar. So it's just a huge pain to actually realize where the access codes are. Hilariously enough, in the boss fight, finding the access codes is a little easier. So it's actually not as bad compared to like finding them in this areas, but you'll see later. Once you get that done, fight more enemies, kill the god-awful trackers, wyverns, etc. They're really annoying, and they will be even more annoying. That damn digital variant tracker over there. Yeah, just shoot at them, and just kill the enemies, and continue along your way. During some weird jump areas like this, you might get a little confused because it's like, oh, how do I get up there? But there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can just jump on those side areas, right? And ignore those like weird digital looking doors over there. There's just a lot of areas you need to go to, so try not to fall off, but I have fallen off many times, so don't worry about it. Either trying to find the area to go to or just looking around, so unfortunate. You might reach these annoying little points where they have little blocks that push you out. Just make sure to stay away from like the area where the blocks actually are on and pay attention, because if not, yeah, you'll get yeeted like I do and die a handful of times, but overall pretty simple jump puzzle. After that, you enter this next section. What you have to do here is gather the data and take shelter. Once that timer goes off, everything will get nuked. So at first I was confused at where to take the data, but it's actually very simple. TLDR is kill the enemies and grab the data, take it to that middle section and hand it in to that middle section there. Once you do that, the middle section will release the floor and you'll fall through. That is where you'll stay and survive when the timer goes off, and everything above ground will die. Pretty simple overall once you actually figure out what you're doing. I was very confused at first, but that's just kind of how that goes. So the idea, right? Simple. You can stay above ground shooting at enemies, but remember, gather the data and take shelter in there. There's a handful of rotations of these, so it'll take you some time, so keep that in mind. You can way over gather the data, so it's really not that hard either. But yeah, just stay safe, and once you can get into that hole, yeah, just hide in there. The wyverns are really annoying, and the enemies can still shoot at you, so you want to run around the sides and try to stay safe and revive each other. But yeah, it's not that bad overall. So the first rotation you gather 8, the second rotation you gather 10, and then from there it just spawns a data nullifier boss. Very simple fight where it's kind of the same thing. Shoot and kill the data nullifier boss, and then the data nullifier boss will also like set off rotations of the middle area, so gather the data, hide back in there if it ever pops back up. The first rotation when the boss is up is first at like gather and take shelter at 10, and then it makes you gather and take shelter again with 12. So yeah, it just gets a little higher each time, but if you have heavy ammo or just shooting the enemies really, you should have no problem gathering up 12. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Once you actually complete all that, you essentially are almost ready for the boss. Just defeat the data nullifier and continue on your merry way. At first, I was a little confused where I was supposed to technically go to enter the core node, but just go where the boss like first spawned on that big platform and jump into that area down there. Shouldn't be that hard. It just can be kind of a pain in the butt to find out and realize where you need to traverse, and then, yeah, jump on down there and fight more enemies, making your way over to the node core and the final boss. Okay, once you actually get to the node core, this is where you enter the boss finally, so you are good to go to enter the boss. Once you actually fall down here and enter the boss, it is a fairly simple fight overall, but you do have to be careful. In this phase 1 for the big baddie, the Variant Stalker big bad enemy, right? Variant Stalker, Brakion, repurposed mind. Very simple. He will go invulnerable and shoot between the 3 quadrants of this area. So he'll go to the far left, far right, and the one he is currently on, and just zip on over. The fight is actually fairly simple. Kill the ads because they suck, and kill the boss because he sucks. When he flashes over, he'll spawn up more enemies, so just start shooting him and killing him. He'll spawn enemies every, I think, like about quarter in phase 1. Every time he goes to a different like triangle section in the area, he will change the defensive pillars that pop up. So just keep in mind those change around. So your defensive positions will change around. Just stay a bit away from the boss and just shoot at him from a range and kill the wyverns and the big baddies because they kind of suck. So that's literally the entirety of phase 1. Just be careful on this dude, okay? Because his damage can really beat you up if you aren't paying attention, like with most bosses. But yeah, just fight him, kill the enemies, and you should pretty easily get over to phase 2, and that's the annoying phase. How this second phase will work is simple but annoying. This is, I would say, the hardest phase. The boss periodically will spawn 2 wyverns and a little like a decoder guy. You need to kill the decoder guy in order to spawn more enemies, unlock the node to actually unlock the Brakion access gate. Now this takes ages, okay? Just keep in mind. You have to kill first the unlocker and then the decoder, whatever you want to call them. And then that'll give you access to unlocking the access codes. The access codes will appear in either the left or the right section underground in the areas. So I'll just show you those quickly. So once you actually kill the enemies, right, override Brakion access gate, this is where those will spawn, the access gate codes. It'll either spawn on the left or the right side. And the access gate in the middle is what you have to shoot in order to unlock the boss. And it's all fairly simple. It just takes a little bit of time. Once you actually destroy the access gate, you'll notice in the top left, it gives you, I believe, 30 seconds. 30 seconds to defeat the Brakion of the firewall rebooting. So this is the 30 seconds. Enemies do not spawn. You want to make sure that you output as much DPS as possible so that you can kill him as fast as possible. At first, we thought like it was every quarter of health he would pop the gate back up, but no, we just weren't paying too much attention. So full DPS, make sure you can kill him as fast as possible. That being said, I liked to keep some heavy ammo so that I could shoot at the wyverns and the like decoder, because the wyverns are such a pain in the ass and do a lot of damage, and those seem to be like the big bad enemies that almost wiped multiple times. So yeah, just be careful around there. But that is the entirety of the second phase boss fight. Just rinse, repeat as many times as that may take. And I think this is the entire like boss fight probably took us about like 30-45 minutes of like trying and redoing, but that's okay. So after you actually kill the boss's second phase and go to this final area, now this is, I'd say, dangerous, but still easier than the second area. He just spawns enemies every, I think, quarter of health you hit him on, and you have to kill him. And that's it. He has no like weird, annoying invulnerability phasing. He has no access override code. Just kill the enemies and kill him and make sure you do not die. The nice thing about doing this with 2 or 3 people is the boss focuses one person more so, and everyone else can just kill the ads. So while the boss is trying to focus one person, everyone else kills the ads, then the boss changes targets, and then, you know, rinse, repeat. So this final section, very easy. First time, instantly completed it, no problem. The only annoying parts are phase 1 and 2 of the boss. So hopefully this guide helped you out. Once you kill the boss, you can go grab your Vexcalibur, draw it right there. Boom! Once you do, you'll all get that Prodigal Return grenade launcher. All you need to do is go to the war table, visit there in order to hand in the quest and get your Vexcalibur. So pretty simple there. And then you also get once you pick up your Vexcalibur, you can get a quest to unlock, I believe, mods for your Vexcalibur. So make sure you do that. Appreciate everyone watching. Sub, like the video, and check out any of my social medias for random guides. Cheers.